Morning everyone! We are on day 5 and I am raring to go, all ready for part 2 of customer. We obviously started customer part 1 on Friday on day 4. Had the weekend off obviously, so I know some of you guys have been catching up and doing lots of the homework over the weekend as well, which has been great to see. I have seen some amazing branding, personalities coming through in your businesses, and I've seen some real interaction with you guys and some real progress so far. So I'm really excited that this is helping to make a difference. So yes, amazing. Keep sharing your success and your progress along the way in the homework and in our team group as well, so that others can see how you're doing. So I've been obviously keeping an eye out and having a bit of a spy cam and sharing some of you guys and the fabulous stuff that I've seen you doing. So amazing. So halfway through now, so we have day 5 today, customer part 2, which is all about talking about being a customer magnet and using attraction marketing. So it's really key, fundamental of looking at your customer part of connection. So, and it's the same as well for team as well. So some of this will overlap with things to do with your team and sponsoring people and looking at that element. But we're focusing on it today in terms of customer. And we will cover elements of this, but I'll just be referring to this kind of element of it in the team training that we do on day 6 and 7. So on Friday we talked about identifying your audience, thinking about who your customer is, which is really key, like I say, because if you try and appeal to everybody, you'll appeal to no one. So that's why we were looking at that and making sure it aligns with your own values and your own beliefs. So now you know who your customers are, and not only your beliefs, but their beliefs and what that person looks like when we've got it down to an individual. It's about how do you capture their attention? How do you get in front of that audience? So you need to know what they want and their goals. So part of their beliefs and values obviously align with that, but it's about knowing what they want and the kind of life that they want to lead. So it's really focusing on that individual customer that you described as part of day 4, and looking at what they actually want. So you also need to think about actively talking about your own beliefs, voicing how you feel, your values, because you'll relate to them, and relating to the customers that you are targeting is how you're going to become that magnet. So for example, share things that matter to you. For me, we talked about kind of my values and things that matter to me. It was around kindness, it was being generous, it was also around safety and quality and animal welfare, animals in general, for example. So it's all of those kind of things. So it's looking at articles that might come up that are relevant to those areas to get in some interaction. It's looking at how your business aligns to any of those key areas and sharing that. For example, I'll give you some examples. Recently, a lot of you will have seen that I posted this, and a lot of other people did, around the This Morning coverage that they talked about safety of candles. I haven't actually found the video of it yet, but it was pre it going onto their TV show that we mentioned about the fact that they were going to be talking about it, and it generated a lot of conversation. So their look at it was around safety. It was around the dangers of candles and things like that. So it was a way of building rapport when you share values. So by sharing it in a great way, and you have to, there is always a fine balance. If there's an article about someone that's just lost their house due to a fire, that's not the right time to talk about it. But it is when you're talking about it in a generalised setting. So if this morning are sharing an article around the safety of candles, it's really important to then bring that into your group. Now, I would always recommend not commenting on those posts, so don't go onto this morning's post and talking about those kind of issues, because it's going to be a free-for-all for everybody and it's not going to come across in the right way. But bringing that article into your customer group or page, etc., is the right thing to do. It's the right way of going about it, and just generating that discussion about why it means what it does to you. So not just sharing that value, but sharing why it is important to you. And you can relate it to you. So, for example, in the post, I can't remember exactly what I put, but I would have put something about the fact that they were going to be talking about this area, and it is why I fell in love with Scentsy, because I didn't want burning candles in my home. So you're aligning that value to your own value, and then showing your business as an opportunity for them. There are lots of different ways. So again, talking about kindness and showing love. Yesterday I shared an empty jar and I asked for people to put in positive words. Huge interaction. That was just on my profile. It wasn't in my group, but I'm going to share it to my customer group later today to show how it went, and also for people to add to it as well, so they can see what we're doing. And it's around that positivity piece. It's around how I want people to live a positive life. It's how I want people to have that happiness and kindness and share it around. So again, it aligns to one of my values. I shared yesterday that I decorated my bedroom after a couple of days ago. I think it was Saturday, that I posted about different colour schemes, etc. that I wanted, and changing up my bedroom. So I then painted it yesterday and I shared it in the group, and that got a lot of interaction as well, because another one of my values is around a beautiful home. And of course the diffuser was there, and I was asking them about different warmers and diffusers that they think would go with the decor, and getting them thinking about those kind of elements. They are all non-salesy posts that attract people in. A picture grabs them in and they start reading it, they relate to it, and then your business slots in with that. It's all about attraction marketing. It's not about the pushing. But what do they want? What do my customers and audience want? They want the same things as me, because they're aligned to my beliefs and values. But in terms of my business, what do they want? They want safety, they want value. So it's about picking out those things. They also have families, they have busy lives. We identified that Sophie had 2 children and a couple of pets, etc. And that she's busy. So a lot of my people want the simplicity as well. So that's another area of focus. So life hacks, sharing tips. So for example, counter clean, cleaning some trainers, or being more useful around the home than just cleaning your work surfaces. Those kind of life hacks are perfect. And I might share things that aren't even related to Scentsy, not necessarily advertise another product because we don't want to cross promote, but just around ways of doing things differently around the home, just giving some life-saving hacks. For example, you could talk about bakery scents. You could talk about selling a home and putting a bakery scent in, and that way you don't have to bake a cake, but your house smells of it. So it is very welcoming. When people smell cakes, it does sell houses. So that's another way of doing it. You haven't got time for baking a cake, but you're selling your home. Why don't you just pop on a cube of X, Y, or Z? You could look at laundry scents. You want your home to smell like you've done the massive pile of laundry, even though you haven't. Then put some clothesline in. Make it fun, make it entertaining, make it part of what people want in their lives and their hacks. And also, like I said, the counter clean, etc. Another area of simplicity is sharing about how to place an order with you. A lot of people don't know how it works. They might just see your website and look at that, and then they might look at that and think, oh, £6 postage. They don't necessarily understand. Never assume that everybody knows how your business works. So every once in a while, do share about how to order with you, that you're putting an order in soon. If you want to combine with it, etc., then let me know. This is how it works. I put several orders in a month. Just let me know, and then I'll place the order when I've got to the order date, etc. And then obviously I will arrange to get your order to you. The only stipulation is you cannot say free postage, because not every consultant can advertise that, so it would be against compliance to add that you're doing a bulk order, get free postage. But obviously you can say that in a message to them, and you can kind of allude to it, obviously just by asking them to put into the order and interacting with them, but obviously you can't say that you'll give them free postage as a result. So that's kind of some areas that you can focus on what to share, how to engage with their values. Other areas you need to think about is there's like forget what it's kind of called, but a process, I guess, around know, like, and trust. And people need to build that with you to be able to then buy from you. So you start with the know, and that's about knowing your target audience first of all, knowing what they want and what they like, knowing what is a value to them. And then also being knowledgeable in your business, so being an expert in that area. So really knowing your products, what you offer, your services, really knowing it and being knowledgeable. And then you've got the like. So the like is being authentic, it's being real, it's being genuine, positive, kind, generous, all of those things. It's about attracting people to you as a person. So you've got to have that likability factor in there. So make sure you're putting yourself out there, you're giving more than you take, you are approachable, friendly, kind, all of those things that I know you guys are, but just make sure that people know that and can see that from you as well. And then you've got the also around that being visible as well. People aren't going to know that they can't get to know you and get to like you if you're not visible. So obviously include yourself in the posts because it makes it feel like they know you. If it's just products and pictures of products, they don't get to see you, and it's you that they buy into. So make sure you're being visible. Go live, add yourself in with selfies, share photos of you and your family, things like that. Just be visible in your group to your customers so that they can get to know you and like you. And obviously being relevant as well, keeping up with latest trends, latest hacks, things like that. It's just all about building that relationship. And then trust. And this is obviously a big one. And obviously I know you guys all know this so well, but obviously don't disappoint. Be committed to that service, be great at it, and just give them the best ultimate experience. We talked about customer experience Friday on part 1 of customer. It's all about that experience and not disappointing, making it special for them. Because when you get that trust and you deliver a great service, that's where you get the recommendations, and recommendations are everything to a business like this. Getting people to put recommendations up in your group is a surefire way of getting people to pay attention as well. And don't just copy and paste. So people trust you, they get to know you. If you copy and paste everybody else's posts word for word, and you're using the same images or non-images that you've taken as well, and obviously you're going to use different images and you're going to use other people's images at times, but just make sure that you've got your own images in there as well, and make sure that you're in those pictures with them, that you're going live with those items as well. But it's also the words that you use. And if you copy and paste from another consultant, your customers that already know you are going to be thinking, that's kind of spammy because that doesn't sound like you, and I don't really buy into it because it's not you, it's not real. In the same way that people may be in multiple groups, and if they see someone else post it and then someone else post it, it doesn't feel real. It doesn't feel like you believe in the product because you've got nothing original, unique to say about a product or a service. And avoid jargon as well. Be really careful not to use jargon. I don't think anybody does that I've seen anyway, but just avoid it where people don't understand it. And if it's not simple, it's not going to appeal. And also, if things go wrong, be prepared to apologise. Things do happen. Your child gets ill and it delays you getting the order to them by a couple of days. That's absolutely fine, but just make sure you apologise and you do all you can to make up for that service. Put an extra sample in or whatever else. If it's a couple of days, then it's fine. But if something major happens, you forget an order, you forget to add on their order, and obviously it's another week or whatever for the order to arrive, just pop something else in to show that you care and that you apologise, because that will build that trust in you and ultimately will give you a customer for life if you make it feel special for them and that you actually really, really appreciate them as your customer. And then it's around telling stories. So stories are really important because it makes it relatable. And when I talk about stories, it's more around applying real life to a post. So it's not just, hey, look at this warmer. It's around putting the context and the words behind it that make it a story, make it relatable. And there's a three-pronged approach that gets talked about a lot around telling stories and being relatable, and it's feel, know, and do. How do you want them to feel? So when you're doing a post, how do you want your customer to feel? Do you want them to feel inspired? Do you want them to feel understood? That you're sharing from your own life and that they can relate to it? How do you want them to feel from what you're writing and what you're putting up there? And then the know part is, what do you want them to know? What is it that post is telling them? Make sure it's clear and concise and it gets to the point. You want them to walk away knowing something clear and simple. So make sure you think about the know in that post and that you don't just get lost in it. And then the do. What's the call to action? What do you want them to do? Is it, for example, you're asking them to recommend? Is it asking them to do a post for you and put up a picture of their own house warmer, whatever it is? Do you want them to share content? Do you want them to order? All of those things, there has to be a call to action at the end of the story. So for example, and you don't have to make it really salesy either when you're thinking about do you want them to buy from you? It's around talking about a story and getting that content right. And then of course at the end you can say, if you want a woman like this, then let me know and I'll put it in order. It's just making it, put it together at the end to give that call to action. Whatever it is, whatever you want them to do, it's just putting it all together. Another area to think about with your posts and your content on social media is that human attention span lasts around 8 seconds. If you don't grab someone and really pull them in and make it relatable to them, you've got 8 seconds and they're gone. So make sure that your content really captures your target audience and make sure that they're not switching off and just it's not at all relatable or achievable for them in terms of their values. So an example post, I'm also going to read it out because I've written it down. Who here is a fan of shortcuts and life hacks? Raise his hand. So a raise his hand emoji. Well, how about our counter clean? It can literally clean everything. I haven't seen anything that it can't beat. Dirty shoes, stain on the carpet or the sofa, dirty oven. It's the one-stop shop counting cleaner that you will need, and every home needs this in there, trust me. Why not grab a bottle now? It's £12. Or treat yourself to the March Whiff box, because I know what's in there. And get yourself some spring cleaning kit. It's worth way more than it costs, and I cannot get them enough. So that's an example of a story. It's relatable. I want them to feel like, wow, yeah, inspired. I can get something in one bottle that's going to solve a lot of my issues. The no, I'm giving them examples of how it works and what's so good about it all. And the do, I want them to order it. So I'm saying, why not treat yourself to it and go and get it now? It's just an example post. Hopefully it will kind of give you an idea of the feel, no, do approach to it and show you it in kind of action. And then also ensure their value is there. Ask questions of people, get them interacting. So for example, I put in there, who is a fan of shortcuts? It's putting a question in there and it's engaging. You have to engage with it and include that call to action with it, sharing, commenting, liking, buying, etc. And use that story to emotionally connect. But there are so many different stories you can tell, so many different approaches that you can talk about that really make it work for you. And then there is also some golden rules as well around this kind of area. And it's around just looking at the ways that you can engage people and bring them in without making it salesy. So just think about all those different things with the no, the feel, no and do, the no, trust, what was it again? No, like and trust, I got it the wrong way around. So no, like and trust and feel, know and do are really key in terms of that building relationships and content. So obviously a lot of this is around the social media side, but it obviously takes away in terms of how you talk to people. The same things when you're talking to people as when you're posting. It's that attraction marketing, but obviously the easiest way to attract people is social media and through images. So that's why we've kind of concentrated on there. There are other content approaches as well, like building authority, showing expertise, for example, being knowledgeable of your products. A good example is our amazing diffusers. So showing off how the diffuser works, why it's so good, why you love it. That's an amazing way of building authority and showing your expertise on the area. The same for Always Get My Bar in the Scentsy Club. Sharing behind the scenes, that's always a great way. So if you're doing a sample day, then share it. Share what it means to you about being Scentsy and how much fun you're having. And sharing customers' experiences and recommendations. So that's another focused way of doing it as well, is asking people for recommendations. You can put a little note in their orders. You can ask them by message. It's a good way as well, and it's a good habit to get into. If you get them to share it on their Facebook and tag you, then you can screenshot that and put it in your group. Because if they do it on their profile, there'll be people that you can't reach currently that will see it. And then you can still take it and put it in your group and re-tag the person in your group as well, so that they can see that their post is being shared. Things like that work really well. But always try and tell a story and solve a problem for your target audience. If you're solving a problem, then you're adding value, and that's really key. And then something else to think about in terms of social media is the use of stories. So Facebook and Instagram stories. Now, the way I see the stories, and I've done a bit of research on it as well, is around them being entertaining. Someone put, one of the Instagrammers put that she treats her Instagram stories like celebrity life. So like a, what's the word for programs that are real life? Celebrity, like Love Island, reality TV. She uses her story like a reality TV. So she'll just put up random things that are interesting about her day. So a meal that she's had, what she's doing, that she's going to the gym, just kind of a view into fun stuff that she's doing, and she makes it entertaining with little captions and stuff like that. So another way of thinking about using your stories more on Instagram and Facebook, and making them fun. And then a final area that I want to talk about and go on from really is around that recommendation area. So other ways to engage your customers and attract new ones is by that whole recommendation process. So where you can attract new audiences by offering a referral and a recommendation scheme, a loyalty scheme, that type of thing. So you could look at rewarding people for putting up pictures. You could reward them for telling their friends if their friends then order. You could like make up a card that you stamp. It could be virtual, and then you just send it by message to them each time. Or you could give them a card, but obviously then you've got some that live further away, so it's not always easy to do that. But it's just thinking about ways, be creative and think of ways that you can set up a referral scheme or a loyalty style scheme. So you could do it every time they place an order, for example, that you give them that loyalty scheme, and after 6 stamps, for example, they could get a free wax bar or whatever works for you. But just having a think about things that could work recommendation-wise and for you and your business. But it'd be a really good one to have for recommending people, getting them to place orders. So for every person that they recommend who then places an order, then they get a stamp on a card, or they could straight away get a gift if they get an order from it. Depends on how it works for you. But it's a really good way of thinking up, being creative with your customers and rewarding them, because a lot of them do share for you anyway, but they probably share a lot more, or share it with a lot more passion if they knew that they're going to get rewarded as well. So it makes for a really interesting conversation piece as well, and it gets you talking to them and getting to know them a bit more as well. So that's all I'm going to talk about today around customers and being that attraction marketing piece. So your homework for part 2 is obviously interact with the live and feedback as usual, and then create a value-adding post in light of who your perfect audience is and share it in the comments. Once you've posted it up, take a screenshot and pop it in the homework post at the end. So think about the stories, think about a hack that you could put up that works for your customer that you identified on Friday, things like that. Just a value-added post aligned to what we've been talking about, and then share it in the homework. And then secondly, design a referral or loyalty scheme that works for you and be creative with that. So, and then again, obviously share that in the homework. So I hope that's been really useful. I hope it's given you some more ideas around social media and more, we talk about attraction marketing all the time, but just a few more kind of tools behind it to think about when you're writing your posts as well. So I will love you and leave you, and I hope you enjoyed day 5. Tomorrow we'll start looking at team for day 6, part 1, and then part 2. So lots of fun there as well. Have a great day everyone, and take care. Bye bye.